Our Bermuda grass lawn is starting to green up with the exception of several of these dead spots. And joining us today on Oklahoma Gardening is our extension turf specialist, Dr. Dennis Martin, who's going to talk to us about what caused these dead spots. And Dennis, welcome to Oklahoma Gardening.
Hello, Steve.
This is your first time on the show and we're glad to have you here. And is this a common problem that we're seeing this time of year?
Yes, it is, Steve. All over the state, spring dead spot is a very severe problem, and it occurs year after year on Bermuda grass lawns.
Okay, so this is called spring dead spot. Well, let's get down here and see what we can do about this, because I think we're seeing a lot of it in Stillwater, and as you mentioned, a lot of the different viewers probably in the state are seeing it too. What causes this, Dennis?
Well, spring dead spot disease of Bermuda grass is caused by a fungus that's actually affecting the Bermuda grass in the fall of the year.
Okay, so it's a fungus that's in the soil then?
That's correct, and it lives in the soil year after year.
And is it eating on the root system, or does it splash up on the top? How is it actually killing the grass out?
Well, the fungus that causes spring dead spot lives in the soil, and then when the temperatures are right in the fall, about 45 to 55 degrees soil temperature, the fungus is affecting the roots and the crowns and the stems of the Bermuda grass.
Okay, so this time of year when it starts greening up, the roots then really are eaten off and it just can't get any nutrients. Is that what we're seeing? Or?
That's true. The Bermuda grass dies over the course of the winter. When the Bermuda goes dormant, it just simply never comes out of dormancy because it's killed during the wintertime.
And that's a good point, isn't it? Because even though the Bermuda is dormant during the winter, the root system really is still actively growing as far as the cells, and I mean it doesn't die out, which a lot of people may think.
Well, the root system is alive over the winter, and there is some growth even at lower soil temperatures.
Right. Well, Dennis, if we should see a lot of these spots, what can we do to create a quick green up of the lawn? Do we wait for the grass to grow over or what?
Well, one could wait for the Bermuda grass to grow in from the sides, but that would take most of the growing season. And what we're really interested in is having these areas repair themselves as quickly as possible. So what we can do is plug some healthy Bermuda grass plugs into the area and aid the lawn in healing up.
And one reason we're talking about plugs is because some of the improved varieties of Bermuda grass you can't purchase seed, so you have to use vegetative, I guess what, plugs, sprigs possibly even?
That's true. For cultivars such as sun turf and Tifway Bermuda grass, only vegetative material is available.
Well, while we're talking about plugs, the first thing that we did though was rake up some of the debris and thatch, that kind of thing. And here's a plugger here that I guess is a handmade one that we found here at our studio gardens, but you can find these at your garden centers and possibly borrow them or rent them. And it is a little bit easier, and it puts a nice sized plug into that hole. But if you don't have access to those, we've showed one here, Dennis, that we used our shovel, and we just cut out a plug using the shovel, just dug out a hole, slipped it in there. And then you can even use a smaller hole like this, and we've got a trowel over here where we've just dug up a little plug, and we're gonna stick it right in there. And I guess the best thing is just to step on that, isn't it, Dennis, and get it level with the soil again.
That's right, Steve. We'll want to firm it into place and then step on it to get a good root to soil contact.
Okay. How many, here we've got two, we probably could put one more because we've got a pretty good circle. Any particular recommendations on spacing?
Well, this method could really only be undertaken when we have a reasonably small number of spots in the lawn. I would suggest putting the plugs in approximately 8 to 10 inches from each other.
Okay.
For instance, we would put another plug in over in this corner here.
Right. Now, after we do this, of course, maintenance with fertilization and watering will be very important. And really, we haven't put our first application of fertilizer on, so it'll be very timely. But we get a lot of questions about fungicides. What recommendations do you have for that? Should we be putting a fungicide on now?
Absolutely not, Steve. The fungus was active in the fall, and an application of a fungicide now would be a waste of money.
Okay.
We want the fungicide to go down in very late summer to very early fall, immediately before the fungus begins to infect the Bermuda grass plants.
Well, Dennis, we appreciate you being with us today, and Dennis is going to be back in a few weeks to talk about mulching mowers. And Dennis, we hope you'll come back this fall as well and help remind us of the time to put those fungicides out to control this problem. So we want to thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you, Steve. It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.